Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. I'm currently in Atwater. And through the course of my day, I try to mind my own business. I try to do my time. I sit there, I play cards, I run a couple poker tables, some dice games. And in my free time, in between time, I like to go play handball or basketball. You just do everything that you can to occupy your time and to try to escape the environment. But I can only dictate what I do with my time. I could be over here minding my business, but somebody else can be over there doing whatever they do and get themselves caught up. And then if they're the homie or whatever, it's gonna involve me, not just me, but it's gonna involve the rest of the homies. So we have rules in place. We have guidelines in place. It's not really telling you how to do your time, but these rules, these guidelines, these politics are in place to help us coexist in this hostile environment. But every now and then, more often than I like, more often than I care for, somebody's gonna jump outside those rules, outside those guidelines, not respect the politics. And when that happens, well, you can't have rules if you don't have the will to enforce them. And other people see that. They see that if you're a car that anything goes, you're not gonna have much respect. So on this particular day, I'm at my poker table, chilling, hanging out, doing whatever I do on a regular basis. I get a white boy comes. I'm in yard 3 at my poker table. A white boy comes over there and tells me, "Hey, Mesa, the Sereno over there is surrounding Pat. Pat's over there. Pat is a homie. He's a Hawaiian homie. He's part of our car." So when the white boy comes over there and tells me, "Hey, Pat's over there on the handball court surrounded by the Serenos," I don't ask why. I don't sit there. I don't hesitate. I get up because I'm just there. All the homies out on yard 1 playing football. And other homies we're all spread out to yard. Everybody, we just go out there and everybody does their own thing. You know what I mean? If there's an issue or whatever, we come together. Or if we're having like a homie day or an activity or something, we come together. For the most part, people just go and they do whatever they do. So when the white boy comes and tell me, "Hey, Pat's over there on the handball court surrounded by the Serenos," I take off. I don't run or nothing because I can see from where I'm at that there's a circle. So I go over there and sure enough, there's about 20-something Serenos got Pat surrounded. So I go in there and I walk into the circle. I was like, "What's up, homie? What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, these motherfuckers are tripping, this and that." I know the potential risk that I'm putting myself in. But at the same time, for me, if you're a homie, I can never walk away from you when the situation comes up. But I know a lot of those people on that compound. I know a lot of the Serenos that was there that had my homies surrounded. Now, the people that I know, their job is to aid and assist their homies. So whatever confrontation Pat had with whoever, all the rest of his homeboys, they're not going to sit there and question their own homie. Their job, their responsibility, their obligation is to aid and assist. They're never going to allow Pat to fight one of their homies one-on-one. Us Asian Islanders, yeah, we don't have that rule. I tell my homeboys, if you open your mouth, if you run your mouth, and somebody trying to see you, man, you better go handle that. Because I try to emphasize that you got to stand on the things you say. If you're tough enough to run your fucking mouth, then be willing to handle whatever is going on. You know, there's an age-old saying that says, you know, if it wasn't in your mind, it wouldn't be in your mouth. That means if you disrespect somebody, if you say something about somebody or whatever, you can't later on say, oh, I didn't mean that, oh, I was sorry. Because if you didn't think it, then you wouldn't have spoken it. But the confrontation over here wasn't anything like that. Okay, like every day there's 6 handball court. There's a wall. And there's 3 courts on one side and 3 courts on the other side. And it's always filled up every day. Well, Pat, he's pretty good in handball. They were playing partners. He was partnering up with some white guy, and they were playing, you know, the Sureños, a few teams of Sureños. And he was whooping on him. He's a pretty good handball player, and he was winning. But there was this discrepancy on one of the calls that caused Pat to lose. So Pat, he has a mouth on him because he prides himself, think that because he knows how to fight, he knows that MMA shit, he knows that grappling shit. So he's always willing and ready to go. But you know, the few conversations I had with him prior to this, because me and him bumped head a couple times, and that's just natural. You know, not everybody, even though you're homies, even though you're in the same car, you're going to bump heads here and there. And the situation that me and him bumped heads in was over something stupid on his part, a misunderstanding on his part. You know, we're playing and clowning around, and he got in his feelings and took it a little serious, and he bulked up on me. But then, he's like, man, we can do whatever, but I don't play with the knives. So when someone tells me that, it's showing me that he really ain't trying to get in it. I was like, homie, if we want to do this, let's do this for real. It don't matter how we do this. But fortunately, nothing ever transpired between our little confrontations. But still, even though I've had some disagreements with this individual, at this time, he's still a homie. So if I see him in a situation, I'm an aid and assist. So it's just me and him surrounded by 20 Sureños. And, you know, there's individuals that when they're with their homies, when they're in a crowd, their voice gets a little loud. They have a little more heart than as to oppose and as to if they were by themselves. Because all the ones that I knew that were men that knew the situation gets serious, they were standing there. They were Sureños, but they were just standing there gauging the situation. But there's like 3 or 4 loudmouth motherfuckers that kept trying to come at us. But I stayed between them and Pat. When they act like they were coming in, I stepped in. I said, what's up, homie? Oh, your homeboy, this motherfucker, he got a bad attitude. This all shit. I said, okay, but what's all this? There ain't no need for all this extra shit. Oh, man, but that mother... I said, man, listen, homie. It's whatever you guys want to do. Oh, but mate, I said, listen. You guys are showing aggression right here. So I'm not going to leave the situation. But they know, and they understand too, that if they make a move on us, it's not going to get settled right there and then. The whole yard's going to blow up. The whole yard's going to blow up because us being Asian Islanders, we have alliances with the Native Americans. But not only do we have alliances with the Native Americans, we're cool with a lot of different cards. And when you build a friendship and a bond, other people are going to come and offer their assistance because they fuck with you. And they know, and they're not going to let you get slaughtered, especially when you're outnumbered. But I was able to talk these people down, and we went about our business. I walked Pat out of the circle. They didn't come at me. They didn't come after me. And I went back to yard 3. You know, when I went back to yard 3, because, you know, it's right there in the yard. So the tower can see, other CEOs can see what's going on. They already made the call. a lieutenant. His name is Putin, Lieutenant Putin, I think. If I got his name wrong, whatever. But my interaction with him, the time that I've been in his shoe and stuff, he's always been respectful. But that doesn't mean that we're friends or that I'm going to confide in him or even have a conversation with him. So I want to get back to yard 3. He comes over there and calls me to the fence. He's in yard 2, I'm on yard 3. He's like, hey, Rith. I was like, what's up? He's like, hey, man, what's going on? And I just looked at him like, you serious? Man, you know better than to ask me any type of question. And I walked off. No disrespect to him, but it's understood. I don't speak to the staff about anything. I don't ask you for toilet paper and a cop-out. A cop-out is like a grievance form or when you like want to put in for medical. That's the only 2 things I ask the CO. Toilet paper and a cop-out. The rest of that, I don't have conversations with them. I don't have a very good track record dealing with staff. I got assault on staff. I've been in group demonstrations. So to avoid to ever even having a relationship with them, I don't speak to them. Well, anyway, what turned out was Pat, through the course of the time that he's been in Atwater, had a few incidents with other people. And when he has a disagreement with other people, he's not refined enough to be able how to speak to people and mediate or resolve a situation. It's always aggression. He always come at with every issue, with every disagreement, with aggression. And the people on the compound with these different cars, these different races that have these, that's been in a disagreement with him, were tired of that. And the only reason he didn't get his head busted on these other occasions is because in Atwater, the Asian Islander car had a lot of respect from everybody else. So, but it wasn't that serious to where they want to kill him over it. But at the same time, it was just like, dude, there's no need for you to bulk up on me every time you have a disagreement with somebody. But if you understand about compound interest, if you're an investor in money, compound interest, over time, it builds up to a point where you're going to have to cash out. So he's been building up this shit through the last few years. And it came to a point where, hey, your homeboy's going to get everybody in a wreck because they're not going to continue to allow him to fucking bulk up on them and then not do something to him. So the Serenos came and talked to the homie about the situation. They explained the situation. Yeah, maybe the Serenos was cheating them because they were tired of him beating on them in the handball court. Because, you know, when you're playing handball, if you win, you hold the court down. You keep playing until you lose. And people get in their feelings that maybe they're not, you know, they can't beat you. So, and the people that's holding the line is the other Serenios, because it was just all bunch of Serenios I was playing at that time. And I'm pretty sure they cheated him on the call. But, like I said, when something comes up like that, he doesn't know how to speak to people, and he came at them aggressive. But it wasn't the first time, like I just mentioned. There's been multiple times with different races that the homie's been informed. You know, because we have a lot of respect. Before they can move on one of us, they're gonna come and speak to us. And then we figured out if it's serious enough that we have to deal with it or not. And if it's not, we go about our business or whatever. So at this time, when he come and speak to the homie about it, Eddie, the homie, he was just like, man, Eddie and the homie Brian from Green Dragon out of New York. Like, man, this motherfucker's always getting himself in shit like this. And they didn't want to deal with it no more. So they gave him a green light. In our community, we have different races in our community as far as Asian goes. You got Cambodians, Laos, Vietnamese, Chinese, Filipino, Korean, Samoans, Tongans, and Hawaiians. All these together make the Asian Islander card. Every now and then, you might run into a couple Koreans and a couple Japanese, but the majority in there in Atwater was just the race that I just mentioned. So if somebody fucks up, let's just say he's Cambodian. If he fucks up, they're gonna come to me and give me the first opportunity to take care of it, give me the respect to take care of it because he's Cambodian. If the dude is Vietnamese, we're gonna go to the Vietnamese people and give them an opportunity to take care of it. We all have a sense of pride as far as it goes that we want to be the one to take care of our own. We don't want another race, even if it's in the same car, to handle something that we should handle. So they had another homie, a Hawaiian homie named Z. We call him Z, his last name is Zimmerman, Z. So he said, hey, Pat's Hawaiian, I'll deal with it. And this was the very next day, because we don't procrastinate. When it comes to dealing with a situation, we don't procrastinate. But the next day, I got a medical call out. I gotta go, to medical and get my freaking back checked, because I have a bad back now from getting run over on the football field. So every now and then, I go get a cortisone shot, or I go get it checked out, or whatever. So it's at lunchtime, and they're supposed to deal with the situation. I go to my medical appointment, whatever. I don't know what happens on the yard. I don't see it, because I'm in medical. So when I come back out of medical, about an hour later, I can't get in the fence because it's between movements. The movements are only 5 minutes every hour on the hour. So when I come back out, all the homies hang out in yard 3 because that's the only yard with grass. So they hang out in yard 3, they bump their music or whatever, they play whatever they're doing, kicking back, chopping it up. So I come out, I'm on the west, I come out of medical, but I walk around the fence to the west side to go talk to a couple of homies over there that are on the walkway that are working compound, picking up trash or whatever. But I go to the fence because I didn't hear the deuces go off. When something happens, if there's a fight, if there's a stabbing or an incident, the CO is going to hit the deuces, which is an emergency panic button to notify the other staff that there's an incident. So when I was in medical, because I know the hit's about to go down, I'm waiting to see the COs running to a situation, and I never see him run. So I'm like, damn, maybe they changed their mind. Whatever. So when I come out of medical, I'm standing on the fence. I look around, and I see Pat. He's on the grass, on his back on the grass, but it looked like he was trying to do sit-ups. He just like that, going back, like that. And I'm like, he's in shape. He's got a 6-pack, and this wasn't something out of the ordinary that he would do. I've seen him sit out there in the middle of the fucking field and do sit-ups or squats or push-ups or whatever. But I'm looking, but the sit-ups that he's trying to do is kind of like, doesn't make any type of sense, And then I see him stumble up, and he tried to go to because there's a walkway right in yard 1. There's a sidewalk. Like I said, he was on the edge of it. Looked to me like he was trying to do sit-ups. He tried a few times, 5 or 6 times, then went back down. And then he fucking finally rolled on his side, and he crawled. So now I'm like, oh, I think maybe he did get punished. So he crawled. He crawled to the fence, and he grabbed a hold of the fence and tried to pull himself up on his feet. But he fell back down. When he fell back down, his body turned where I was able to see him. He had long hair. His hair had grass and dirt in it. He had blood all over his face. He was busted up. So what was told to me later was that when they put the hit on him, Z had volunteered for the hit. And Z, he's pretty known for having some hands. And he's a Hawaiian dude, strong as shit. So I guess Pat was out there playing hacky sack with some of the white boys in yard 3. Z walked up behind him, pop, laid him out. Now, he didn't even know what was coming. Thought everything was good. Z came up, knocked him out. And when he got knocked out, of course, you're defenseless. So Z just started stomping his head out. But you know, the yard is crowded and there was no anticipation for it. Like we don't go tell other people that we're gonna deal with our homies because we don't want rumors to spread around where the COs come and save the person that's gonna get hit. But we don't do things for show. We do things to handle our business. You know, people that's been in Atwater with me, they will tell you, when the Asian Islander dealing with their business, you never know about it. All you do is find a dude slumped in the corner, slumped in the grass, and that's it. And we go about our business. But the yard was crowded, so Z was able to go over there, pop him, knock him out, stomped him out, walked away. So Pat's on the fence, trying to pull himself up. So when he's trying to pull himself up, after the third try, of course the CO, one of the staff, sees it and goes over there, and they say that he's fucked up. But they didn't lock down the compound. They didn't bring the COs out to come and search because the staff know when it comes to us or any other race, if there's no grouping up, you know, one group against another group, then they know it's a sanctioned hit. And they slip by not being able to see what happened, by not being able to see who did it. So they just take it as a loss. They just picked him up, walked him out, and I never saw him again. But the point of these episodes is that, you know, when you're in an environment, you gotta learn how to conduct yourself. Yeah, you might get away with a few things here and there, but compound interest. Over a period of time, individuals are gonna get tired of it. We knew we had to deal with it because if we allow our homies to be disrespectful, to always be in confrontation and not be disciplined, then we're gonna lose respect from other cars. And at the same time, these other cars might get fed up with us like, oh, you're just letting your homie do whatever the fuck you want. Well, fuck it then. Let's all crash. So it's serving us our own self-interest by dealing with the problem ourselves, by not allowing other cars to handle it. Because knocking one dude off might have saved the war. But it's on that individual. If you don't know how to act, you're actually gonna get smacked. Welcome to the USP.